Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali, always I am wishing you, praying for you actually. Well, I am always on your side. Black us, beautiful, beautiful people who have brought the most liberating GDP product to the world, which is love of self. How you were made to be, and they keep constantly just messing with our minds so that many of our people believe the lies and have bowed down to Satan's narrative about us, and it's all fabrication. So I entreat you to listen to the entire share. I've been asking people to like and comment, and we've definitely watched the whole share. I don't know how long it's going to be. It might be like 3 hours. But I'm not going to keep asking that because I don't know, but it could be Google censoring your comments, or it could be that what I'm discussing is just so secreted to a very limited range of people that most of the people watching might not even be black anymore. I pray that you are, mostly, because that's who I come here for. But yeah, you could also be intimidated by the subject matter. And I entreat you that if you are, and I'm not going to try to talk you out of it, but in your own personal life, tell everybody what I'm talking about, okay? Because it's imperative to the perpetuation of our people and of the only planet we have, which gets me to my subject matter, starting with Candance. Yeah, Dr. She shared these. This was a clip, a video. Here, Candance was saying that, this was supposedly during the lockdown, and this is some woman named Samantha behind her who kissed her several times. It was really awful. And this isn't the only photo. There's this one, and there's this one. I don't know if this is the same Samantha or whatever. I'm just like, that's crazy lesbian vibes right there. And how you will recognize an operative is that the satanic elites have a documented agenda, what they plan on doing, and that is the demoralization, the debasement of everybody at the end of all the, elimination in their plans, according to Albert Pike, to get rid of Islam, to get rid of Christianity, to get rid of anybody who bows down to the one and only. And the whole thing will be replaced, according to them, with satanic worship, or it's just... And then when you understand the science of antimatter and the nothingness, you recognize that it is all in a gravitational pull to the antimatter, because that is the nature of antimatter. They actually isolated it for a short period of time in a chamber, and that's what the whole Hadron particle collider is there to, just piece apart. You can go look this stuff up for yourself, all the different properties of the antimatter, and it is for every single particle of matter, there is its separate particle of antimatter that just winds up obliterating everything, leaving everything at nothing. And it occurred to me that when you're pondering antimatter, not to just see it on a physical level, it destroys everything. It destroys thought, it destroys the soul, it destroys your wishes, your dreams, your personality, everything. So when you look at a lot of these celebrities up here who seem quite AI, long before AI showed up, quite robotic, I recognize that a lot of that is the pull of the antimatter. They have bowed down to it. Or if they're white people, I'm not saying all white people are bowing down to the antimatter, but they are more drawn because of the lack of melanin, which is a concentration of all energy, so that you are more tethered to the one and only in your projections and your, understanding of the reality in front of us. However, if you have a lack of melanin, that is a far more difficult perception to believe. And so they know what the truth is. It doesn't remove your, because reality is reality. And thereby they know being good is preferable. They just want the perception of being good because their lack of rootedness will tend to make them believe that having stuff is the measure of humanity. Having cities even is a measure of civilization when it's just basically buildings. I actually heard someone say something who's just a despicable human being. I don't know if she still is, but she had once said something. I was like, that's exactly it, which is that the concrete is just another expression of the cave, where it's devoid of, understanding of the majesty of all life. I'm not saying that we need to go run out and live in the forest, but what makes civilization, and this is all me now, civilized, is the ability to get along with your neighbors, your ability to come to equitable, humane solutions for any issues or agendas that come up. When they have tarred and feathered us with the mantle of we're the thugs, we're the vicious people, that is simply the echo of what they've always been, and they have just through their propaganda worked on us constantly, because that's what it says in the good books, and that the devil is going to come on the straight path for Allah's chosen people. Now, that whole word is, they're using the Jews to give the meaning of the chosen a very devilish intention. You don't choose yourself. And being chosen doesn't mean that the Most High is going to be peeling you a bunch of grapes. It is a correction for what we were doing wrong with our melanated force, which gives us just this automatic authority, automatic ability to reach people deeply in their souls. We were not doing the right thing with that. So to be chosen ain't really like a gift. It is a moment to ponder why we need him, why we need his protection, his guidance, and we must bow down if we have any shred of sanity. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at the nothingness. It's not that he doesn't love us. It's not that he doesn't love white people. It's just, can you do what must be done? Because he knows about existence and what it takes to perpetuate it. We don't. It's like a child going up to a stove. If the parent admonishes them, stay away from that stove, I'm going to give you a quick spanking. I'm not for the spanking, but then again, I'm not against it either, depending on the parent. But that's up to you, okay? And the child. But that's the Most High. He's giving us a correction because he is ever merciful. But I think we reached a point where we were just like, not listening. We put our hands up on that stove and got burnt. And that's all. And he knows we're going to be okay. And so back over to Candance. My goodness gracious. She was pregnant taking this photo. And no, never, ever, ever, ever have I, and I've had many best friends, we would not be doing no daggone photos like this, not ever at all. So I'm speculating here. The proof is the photo, it's not AI. I'm speculating, even though I'm daggone certain that this is part of the brainwashing that goes on to create these just disassembled, divergent entities. And I can't even call them fully human anymore because they no longer have the gift that Allah gave every sentient being, and humans are chosen all together. We are, because we have the ability to use our intellect to make choices. And when I see someone who's like, she's been going after Erica Kirk big time, over being just really fake and phony, and she's all for righteousness and family as long as white people are in charge, and you groping on a female like that, and you're even pregnant? It reminds me of the Weimar Germany, when they had Sin City, Berlin, and you could go along the different strasses, the streets, to find the type of debauchery you were looking for. You could buy a whole family for whatever use you wanted to use them for. Grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, and the children. Obviously, we see that with the Epstein files. Okay? And so the programming to break these people down is not a conspiracy theory. Every time I see somebody throwing that conspiracy theory term around, and they do not say that that was created by the CIA, so that anybody who delved deeply into the evidence, the documented facts, you could be maligned as looking like you're out of your mind, you're crazy. That's why I started reading the nuclear books, and let me get them. These are just some of the other ones that I've read, and that just point out these people, they know all about low-level radiation, high-level cover-up. I combed this sucker like nobody's business. This one I haven't read yet, but I've seen synopses about it, so that I almost know what I'm going to read before I even start. But I thank Joseph Mangano, who's still alive, for writing it, where radioactive baby teeth, the cancer link, they studied strontium-90 in terms of how intensely it was concentrated in children's teeth from nuclear bomb tests. When they're testing a nuclear bomb, they're not practicing. They're not like doing little teeny tiny baby nuclear bombs. They're doing the real big thing. And so it's exploding a nuclear bomb, and all of the fallout that goes everywhere. That's what they found, and that is the reason why they stopped doing nuclear testing. And thanks to Alice Stewart, a white woman so incredible, it lets you know these people are liars, because otherwise we'd all know who Alice Stewart is. But because of her, the nuclear bomb tests were stopped, and pregnant women know better than to go get an x-ray. I'm sure even Candance didn't go on up there and snatch an x-ray of her child, her precious little paled out child. And this one here, the pet cow effect, the devastating effect of nuclear radiation on human health and the environment. Yes, I know what I'm talking about, okay? I'll comb through this one too. But I put it all so you don't have to go through them books in this one. For the healing. That's the reason why Amazon censored this book. Put it in the pornography section. Immediately. What are the odds? A sister writes a book to give you the remedies for radioactive contamination, that is particle radiation. Even Alice Stewart said she was gobsmacked when she realized that all of this destructive energy was in atoms that we're eating. What are the odds that they would censor my book? My book. This, you could get this on Amazon if you want, but where do you think I got these? It wasn't hidden. It wasn't in pornography, written by white people. It's because it's for us. Chosen, not because Allah's like, oh, I'm going to give you everything. No, that's the devil. Chosen because he knows the force of our physiology, and he didn't want to see us messing up, going to the nothingness. So go to 25000yearcycle.org and get this book. This is a must. It's not, ain't a commercial. I'm not here because I'm trying to sell you something. I'm trying to survive in this capitalistic economy so I could become more effective at saving you. Okay? It's just a fact. I'm not this type of person where I get up here, I'm going to be bragging about stuff, but all praise due to Allah that there's somebody out here so driven to do this that I never stop. And so back to the subject matter, okay? So I'm just saying, they break people down, mind control assassins inside the CIA's chilling mind control program that turn ordinary Americans into assassins. Oh, it's just in the US? No, this is global. It's global. I'm going to be talking about the CIA more coming up, okay? And what they're doing. But the CIA was rumored. Stop! It wasn't rumored. It was documented to have experimented with mind control methods during the Cold War. Not just during the Cold War. They're doing it right now. Globally. Using the internet. Using media. That's all that they know how to influence people. These little influencers ain't nothing new. They've been doing this forever. Okay, starting with the Sears Roebuck catalog, where they were just like, wait a minute. There's a lot of, seamstresses out here coming up with all kinds of fashions that are regional, and we need to just get all Americans, the whole world, on just one idea of what's fashionable. And so they developed the Sears and Roebuck catalog so that Americans would get this in the mail and say, oh, that's what I want, and then white women will do this, okay, where they'll compare each other and, oh, you're not wearing this latest fashion, and they make it a whole pecking order because they're not comfortable just being whatever is in their hearts to be that is in line with the one and only, okay? So it's not just Candance who, she's part of the whole thing, where they really were just shoving her down our throats because they want all of us to turn into Procyon loaders, where we're just bowed down to white people and forgiving them for everything. We already, to a certain faction, are. Because I'm like, wait a minute, they be waging world wars. And when I looked at World War II, I said, wait, okay, so the evil Axis or whatever that was losing against the Allies, or they lost against the Allies, but the white people still stomped on into Africa, right? Israel still got a grip on Palestine, and I'm not on any side with that, right? I'm here for Black us so that we can know, be in the world but not of the world. Do just step away from the hellishness, right? And so even with these wars, we were like, oh yeah, we're fighting for the good because, Hitler's so bad. I'm not saying he's not. He was evil, but he was paid by some of them satanic elites up top to do what he did, because all of a sudden it went from Weimar Germany and the Strasses to freaking Nazi limousines and uniforms and posters everywhere all over Germany. Where'd they get their money from? And then you find out about the pink Nazis and all of that gay stuff going on with them. They always bring that in, just like with Candance, okay? And it reminds me of the Cynthia G flip. I don't know if she's flipped that much, but she, in my conclusion, was firmly an MK Ultra victim. And that's my conclusion. It's a firm one, but I'm just saying it's speculation. But at the same time, the way she rolls, she was just supplanted up there instantly. About the time when I still had my channel, and it was one of the fastest growing pro-black channels on YouTube. And then all of a sudden there was Cynthia G screaming and spouting stuff like she was going to string every white person up from a tree. And everybody was riveted, but she was just so over the top fake. She was always like with her hair covering up one eye. Now I know she meant that for real, just like she has the, the phoenix and the butterfly logos. I don't know what she's doing now. I ain't looking for her, okay? But I'm just saying, she came in all super duper pro-black, and then all of a sudden she went all hateful on brothers, trying to talk black women into the conclusion that the lesbians have at the end of what they're doing is that you should actually just hate men. You should just hate them, right? Or I should say the conclusion that feminism reaches in terms of if you practice feminism to its ultimate level, then you hate men. Because otherwise, like, why don't you guys ever learn how to work it out with men? We need men. I don't, it's like obvious. Okay? And if you choose well, and if Allah blesses you that way, so you can have discernment, oh my goodness, you're going to be so happy with that amazing black man as an amazing black woman. So if you're going around and you're just schlepping any old way, then it's going to be a little bit harder, okay? And no matter how much people try to talk men, all men, into just going along with whatever form a woman takes, no matter how slovenly, that ain't working. This life demands accepting the reality, even if you don't want to get fit for your mate, which I ain't working out for Dr. She, even though that's a nice benefit, definitely. I work out for myself. I work out because I love being healthy. I love being just about 63 years old and feeling fantastic. You can't get enough of that, trust, believe, all right? So all of these different methods they have to beguile the whole world into thinking more and more pro-satanic. You don't need to go to the MK Ultra Programming Center. It's everywhere. But at the same time, how do you get off the Ferris wheel, the roller coaster that's going to the nothingness, is to recognize when someone's doing a Cynthia G flip. So this is a video that I got off of I don't know what you call them, an X, whatever, platform, Escanor Reloaded. He racist as hell, but at the same time, if you're going to get deeply into the details, you gotta, get the data from some of these awful people. But he was going over Professor Zhang's background, and this guy, in my firm conclusion again, is a complete operative. He's completely paid off by China because he is broadcasting big time on YouTube. China's the biggest surveillance state on the planet. They have, I don't know, I think more cameras per citizen than any nation anywhere. And they have the Great Wall of China that you can't see from the supposed space shuttle up there through the internet. where the firewall, you can't get through one side or out the other. You cannot be a Chinese person living in that nation and you have a giant channel on YouTube. That's not possible unless you're being paid by the Chinese, the CCP. China don't let no Chinese citizen, netizen as they call them. And I'm not saying that as if that's an insult. I'm just trying to acknowledge their culture. I'm not mad at Chinese people. The CCP is pure evil. And the Chinese people, because Asians tend to just go along with the programming, they've been beguiled into whatever the CCP wants. And the CCP is working in cahoots with the satanic elite. All nations are pretty much, right? As Aaron Russo noted in an interview where he went over speaking with one of the Rockefellers over their plans, one of the satanic elites, in my firm conclusion, definitely. And so this dude, Zhang, I'm saying, because I know some of us could be fools. So someone came to me and dropped his name, even though they said something really good, which is that black us are powerful. And the Chinese don't know that, and they're going to find out. I don't want them to find out anything. I just want to leave all of these devils alone. All right? But that means we have to defend our peace, our right to be ferociously. And so I was like, okay, who is this guy? And when I did further looking into him, he comes with a whole doctrine of saying that, you know, the U.S. is demoralized, it's falling to pieces. It's pure CCP doctrine, where he's trying to convince Americans. It's like with TikTok, where TikTok was filled with so much buffoonery and all the things that the satanic elites would want the world to think about black you and me. That's what was like brimming up on TikTok. I know you can find some good stuff on TikTok, but at the same time, it was just over the top with the buffoonery, where there's black people who are clueless and were just doing things that were ridiculous as far as, you know, shucking and jiving and all the rest. And so these are the ways that they've invested, because people who are on TikTok, overwhelmingly percentage-wise, have a favorable opinion about China. That's not possible. I mean, I have stepped a little bit away from watching so much China stuff because they're so pro-Trump. And I look at that as like, how the hell can you be a pro-pedophile? Okay, if those two are connected, then that will prove my conclusion. That is in the Epstein files too, but those are still redacted and there's a war going on, so they stay redacted. Okay? How can you be looking at Trump like and promoting America as if it's still the land of the free, the home of the brave? And I remember they never even used to mention Israel, let alone Mossad. And so I was like, look, when the Iran war popped off, I couldn't watch these guys, so I just sort of stopped. Peace to our dear sister Lashid. Yeah, China strike against the U.S., but when you're like going all over this stuff, you're like, there's no freaking way China's doing great and fantastic, like they would portray on TikTok, where you would have AI videos of these super highways. Everything is right and wonderful, when I'm so sorry, but I haven't watched this one, and I probably will, but I'm just saying, what's going on in there is a worse equivalent of what's happening here in the U.S., where they are financially strangling all of us, all right? And it's just the shoddy housing is not like tofu dreg shoddy, but it's shoddy. And yeah, it is what it is. And so this guy was explaining, not only, I've gone to many different people, including, Lay's Real Talk. She's a Chinese woman born in, I don't know if it was Canada. I think it was Canada, yeah. She's really good. She's really, really good, even though I don't trust nobody, but I'm still saying. He was exposing how this guy never even studied geopolitics. He's just a high school English teacher. That's all he was in Canada, right? This guy, right? You guys are aware he's a complete liar, right? Okay, teaches high school English. And then he has, the documentation, Jiang Zhongqin, I'm sorry, I know I'm mispronouncing, was born in Guangdong. His father's a short order cook and his mother is a seamstress. At the age of 6, Zhang's family immigrated to Canada, where they settled in Toronto. Zhang was awarded a scholarship and attended Yale College with Yale University, graduated in 1999 with a degree in English literature. Zhang holds Canadian citizenship. And here's Lay's Real Talk. She does a very detailed breakdown of all of the evidence thereby, and she's Chinese, so she understands that society always will understand it like leaps and bounds above me, but she ain't gonna tell you about the radiation, okay? And that's the point. It's all about the radiation. But yeah, she was going over who he is and what he is, and you could look this up for yourself and listen to it. This dude, in my firm conclusion, he's an operative, okay? Where the whole point is an increasing conflagration of just like to pretend that they can't get along with anybody anymore when they are all collaborating together. Right? I said they're going to up the ante so that the language of war with China will become more just ignorable. And here we go. Donald Trump threatens new war with China over flirty skater skirts. I'm like, what? This is so trivial. It's a company that its moniker is DJT, Donald J. Trump. That's not what they actually say it is. The company never says what the D and J and T stand for. But in China, they imitate Western conglomerates and corporations and franchises on the constant. They fake everything. They are scientifically so good at faking that a lot of times the sneakers and the pocketbooks they make will be as high quality and sometimes better than the original. Right? I'm not saying they're good at all things, but I'm just saying when it comes to copying stuff, it's become their culture. They're proud of imitating other stuff rather than wondering why they're not just doing their own. So this is just ravenous silliness that still introduces the thought, the language into the public so that it's like, lubrication of sorts, and you go where you want to with that, but I'm just saying that's what this is seduction for war. And I have so many of these lined up, I'm just going to go through it because this is what they're hiding. Bowel cancer is now leading cause of cancer death in under 50s. New figures reveal. This means it's just surged exponentially. And when you have bowel cancer, it's something you're eating. It's something you're eating. That's what I wrote my book, so that you don't have to worry about this stuff. Okay? And this is what they don't want you examining. They hid me like so fast because they don't want you questioning the narrative that there's no hope. All right, now I'm going to get to Tucker Carlson and the no hope stuff along with that guy, Professor, Yang or whatever. I'm just saying they're doing their best to rope things together so it can align with Albert Pike's plans to wipe out all, just even the one. That's what the whole Internet of Things was about, because when you look at that abbreviation, it's IoT. But it's like Lot, where they're going to have all systems connected, so there's no place for anyone to hide. Because they don't even want the one. I've read that on other websites, Henry Macau, where they're like, we don't even want one person who's going to not bow down to Satan. This is because the nothingness learned from Allah creating himself that was the problem. It's the science. It's not thinking on the nothingness part. It has no personality, has no thought. It's simply antimatter. All right? And so here they're linking the political left, multiculturalism, and the dark alliance with Islam. What is it? Here they say the memorandum gave detailed methods for establishing Islam as a civilization alternative in the West and a grand jihad for eliminating and destroying Western civilization from within. It called for sabotaging of the West and its miserable house by domestic hands and the hands of the believers, so that the West is eliminated and God's religion is made victorious over all religions. And they go on about how, they were going to use the Muslim Brotherhood. There it is right there. To Muslim Brotherhood to accomplish this. And I'm like, who invited all of these non-white people into Europe but the Europeans? Right? This is a whole friggin' setup. Human behavior is so logical. Why would you be introducing a whole foreign body of people into your midst like that, unless you're the one controlling it yourself, right? The secret history of the Muslim Brotherhood, including its secret collaboration with the British and the CIA, its violent campaign against President Nasser, its support from Saudi Arabia, and its backing for Anwar Sadat's efforts to crush the Egyptian left and the Nazarists in the 1950s. I'm just saying, it is what it is. From Munich to the Soviet steppes, the CIA finds the Muslim Brotherhood. Right? This is all of them up in there, and I think that's Eisenhower. They work together. Stop. Okay, how the CIA helped the Muslim Brotherhood infiltrate the West. America enabled radical Islam. How the CIA, George W. Bush, and many others helped create ISIS. So we know about this. It's their whole plan. Because in chaos, that's when they have the most power. That's when you're not going to hear good voices like my own letting you know, we got this. We got this. All you have to do is share the information about Fukushima. And they have no place to hide, because when you kill oceans, you lose. There's this channel here, China Uncensored, and here's where Tucker Carlson comes on in. I resubscribed to his channel because I was like, okay, he has some good info.
And diverse.
All right. But he's a racist, in my firm conclusion. But so many of them work together. And when I accuse white people of being racist, I don't mean that racism is a bad thing. Racism is about loving what you were made to be. I wish that for white people. I just wish they weren't about destruction. On top of that, and targeting black us. That's the problem. They've given racism a bad name. Loving what the Most High made you, and then being civilized in how you interact with the world, that's divine. The Most High doesn't want us all to come together in Babylon and just be one gelatinous mass where, no, that's not the way he created the universe. If all the planets got together and squashed into one big planet, trust and believe, we would not be here anymore. If you want all your organs, which each have a separate function, to integrate, that means you jumped off a building and you're squashed to pieces on the ground. There's nothing wrong with loving what you were made to be. But in order to be loving to that, you have to be lovable about what your deeds are. And white people's deeds, I'm sorry, it's just the history. I'm not trying to be mean to you. Right? Get it together. Then you'll find what are the most magnificent things about you. Okay? So in this broadcast where he was covering how, Tucker Carlson, in my conclusion, another operative altogether, has, in my conclusion, he sold out to China. But he's talking about, the diversity, how it doesn't work. All right, where Tucker Carlson is supposed to be talking about this, and the way that it is very, very subtle that the China Uncensored guy, I don't know his name, presented this is that Tucker Carlson is talking about how demoralized the West is, and therefore we need to collaborate with China because the U.S. can't afford to defend Taiwan. That's how you get into a war. Because wars are waged not because the nation states waging them have plenty of cash. They do it because it's about the chaos. And it's about stealing stuff from other people. And so he is going on where he's saying he sees cities that are degrading, talking about Tucker Carlson, slowing population growth.
And diversity
I noticed, there it is right there. He said diversity that isn't really working. And here he shows two black men in the hood. Like I said, racist, okay? Because right now, the most respectable former president, and even compared to the ones still sitting, who's a pedophile for goodness sakes, is Obama. And that's really because they got stuff on Obama that they're going to slather all over the place because they ain't about to leave any black person standing with any kind of respect unless you're your own person. Okay? And so I found it interesting that this guy was not going against Tucker in what he was saying, but just, covering how back in the past, Tucker used to be seriously, completely anti-China. Tucker Carlson, when it comes to China, our greatest rival, our elites bow to the elderly fascists who run that country. Tonight in our series, The China Threat, we showed example after example of U.S. companies, elites, and Hollywood censoring products to appease their Chinese masters. Excuse me, Tucker, but aren't you doing the same thing that you're accusing the elites of? See, they gather those who are asking questions in so that you just worship Tucker and whatever he says. And then when he changes his mind, you go, Tucker's reasonable. I think I'll change my mind with him. You got to be stronger than that. And here he is on Fox News, the China threat. China's WTO membership hurts Americans. Cynthia G. Flip. And as I say, this is what they're hiding. Everything going on with Fukushima, where they're just trying to find ways to mitigate it, to hide it, including repopulating the lakes where the fish are dead. That's why if you go to these fishing websites, you'll see guys out there with their rod and reel, even though I did a video covering how these casters, they have, different names for them, who will stand on the shoreline and just, throw out their reel, are still catching anything at all, because right here, out of this airplane, they're filling this lake with fish that they raise someplace separate. They probably filter the water like for life in order to grow these replacement species. These animals can cause big trouble. Why are states, plural, unleashing them by the millions? Because stuff is dead, right? Scientists dumped 65,000 liters of chemicals into ocean in geoengineering experiment. And I had showed how they had a thumbnail on the China show that highlighted, was supposedly going to talk about how China was killing all the whales in the Pacific Ocean. This right here, which I've covered it in shares where I was like, they're going to lose. It was something with that statue in Jersey City where the young lady has an old man's hand over her mouth and she's looking off into the New York skyline. And they have bioluminescent creatures in the Pacific Ocean all of a sudden. And that is not a species that ordinarily would gain that much in its numbers to light up the waves coming in. But they've also had an increase suddenly in sewage, polluting the waters. So that will have different bacteria that they would hope would eat those particular creatures. Well, that's over in the Pacific Ocean. But I also shared how the lobster are dying in Maine. And that was never the case before, but I've talked about how the Atlantic Ocean is being affected. So the Chinese killed all the whales in the Pacific. You mean the Chinese are trawling friggin' the Atlantic Ocean? No, they're not. No, they're not. But this right here, 65,000 liters of chemicals dumped into the ocean, this is over by Nantucket. Sodium hydroxide. This is ordered to alkalinize the acidity that radiation causes. I'm just telling you what it obviously is, but they're not going to tell you crap. Instead, what they do, Nantucket to ban increasingly popular garden feature derided as tacky by style experts. However, the reason why they're saying they're going to ban it is over toxic chemicals and environmental damage, but it's once again the microplastics that they're complaining about. The forever chemicals. This is a nebulous name that in reading the books I've read, right, behind the fog, they often will just use a catch-all phrase to hide, oh yeah, and we mean the radiation too. So what are they saying is causing the poisoning of Nantucket? AstroTurf. What? How many places on the planet have AstroTurf? And how long has AstroTurf been around? But they want to blame what's going on in the waters on the AstroTurf. Really? And this one is huge because, as I say, it's that radiation. That's the pouring of the cups, okay? Mystery of 5 missing scientists sends chill across America. 3 are dead, and 1 troubling link is now under scrutiny in D.C. Okay, here's the transcript from the Daily Mail article. Another official tied to America's scientific secrets vanishes. See the alarming web linking 6 mysterious deaths and disappearance. What these guys are involved with is nuclear weapons and secrets. What I'm concluding is that, number 1, there are good white people out there who prefer to tell the truth, who don't want the stain of I can't imagine that level of guilt where you are genociding the entire freaking planet, also with the earthquakes going on, all right? They know what is available in the books. that you could read about and find out about. Get Furnace of Affliction, okay? Support me in being here for you. 25,000yearcycle.org. You could also get all our amazing products. Dr. She is my inspiration for doing the right thing. So he just is 100. That's what he does. That's what that man's about. So all his formulas are top of the line. All right? Because they work. But these nuclear scientists and all the rest of them, they might be wanting to confess. And that's a wonderful thing. But unfortunately, as stated, I think it is just out and out law, giving away any information on nuclear as a scientist that the CIA or the FBI would deem detrimental is a death sentence. I have read that so many times in all the books that I've been reading. I ain't joking you. It is what it is. And Brother Nano John, thank you. Mighty warrior, brother, for sharing this. I was just like, I was shocked. Where at a Grand Prix in Mexico, I do believe, they stopped it because of a radiological accident, and this was a leakage of cesium-137, and it took place in Brazil. And what happened was they found a truck that had, I guess it had a crash, and there was a box of hospital diagnostic equipment in there, and inside was also a little, storage unit, or not unit, but storage box filled with cesium-137, and it had a blue glow about it, which the people who they had no idea what it was had, and this was back in 1987 that happened, and it was scrap metal collectors. They found a highly 93 grams of cesium, just 93 grams. We're talking Fukushima, we're talking all the nuclear power plants which have to vent those noble gases, which then also vent radioactive atoms. They could not, right? We're talking that level of global contamination. This right here with 93 grams made an entire Grand Prix championship say, nah, we're not going to set up over there, okay? Just a week, the MotoGP World Championship will return to Brazil, a country it hasn't visited since 1995. The Grand Prix was held at, my respect to the Mexican or the Brazilian people, but there's no way I'm going to try to pronounce that. But it's one of the races people remember. This time, however, the race won't be held in Rio de Janeiro, but in Goiânia, which hosted the World Championship from 1987 to 1989. So I guess they're saying they've cleaned it up, but look at how long it was before they say, oh, you could go on back. Trust and believe, it's not better. It's not better. Okay? This is and people were 249 people have been contaminated. Approximately 112,000 people have been screened with Geiger counters. You cannot screen forever chemicals with a Geiger counter unless something in that mix is radioactive. You can't use a Geiger counter on plastics. It's subterfuge, okay? And so, yeah, it goes on to the accident is classified as a level 5. That's like top of the scale, like 3 Mile Island. Over 93 grams. And so, of course, the salmon prices are falling amid global uncertainty. I would say they're falling because nobody's buying them anymore. They're not seeding the waters enough with salmon so that there can be a replacement level. Because they're just dying. Even the ones they're adding to the waters are dying. Okay? And so, yeah, hopefully the prices are falling, because usually scarcity increases the price of something. But maybe there's an awful lot of people who know about Fukushima who are afraid to say anything because they're worried about looking like a crazy lady, like that housewife chick. When you kill oceans. And I almost forgot to share this one here, which is on this Chinese control, CCP control website. I don't know what their acronym or whatever is about, but it's Xi Jinping video clips of his granddaughter Arabella Kushner. Okay? She's singing Hello Grandpa Xi, Hello Grandpa Peng. This is Trump's granddaughter. And she is speaking and singing in perfect Mandarin. I see any of these sites that proclaim they're going to tell everything. I don't see anybody putting all these pieces together. So the operatives are ubiquitous. They're everywhere. And the thing to bear in mind when you're listening to people is how much of the truth they're going to tell. If they keep you on the same merry-go-round of racism porn, oppression porn, and if they do flips where, wait a minute, Candance? What? Candance? Ugh, I don't even like you, but Candance, that's terrible. I'm sorry to see you in that state. Right? Yeah, that's how you're gonna be able to just assess, okay, this one's questionable, with the Chinese guy who suddenly blew up on YouTube. The Chinese are all up. Like they were saying with the Muslim Brotherhood, with Islam, they're gonna infiltrate everything. They're already all a part of it because they're all working together. Right? I remember hearing how the CIA had put out a recruitment video in China for the military, especially high-ranking military officials, saying if you have some complaints and you have some secrets you want to share with us, and I'm not laughing because people are going to get hurt, real people. But I looked at that, I said, you best not do them videos because they're going to go and call up Xi and say, okay, this one is going to turn on you and that one is going to turn on you. Take them out. Because that's what he's been doing lately. Even ones that he promoted up into the military are being they're being put out. Okay? So, yeah, that's it. I said all I need to say. Support your sister 100% because our products are the best. Support those manufacturers, producers, artists, creators who are supporting you, who are doing the best by you because you deserve it. And we know that. All right? All right. I love you. Straight a black pride, and we are good to go forever. Peace and blessings, family.